Okay, let's try this again. Hello, boys and girls and children of all ages. Fat bastard wannabe Buddha coming at you today. I'm going to try this in small, digestible bites. If I have to do several vlogs on it, so be it. But today's discussion is going to center around Peter Barnhart's column that he had in the Daily Beast, and it discussed the rise of the new left. And it takes off from using, let me just quote him verbatim. I've done this 1,000 times, so bear with me. I'm aggravated as no get out because I can't get through this video for some reason. It either goes on for 30 minutes or I have to pull the plug after 6 minutes of rambling. So bear with me. This is going to be a quick one, and maybe I just keep doing regular updates on this. We're going to discuss political generations and the lurch toward the left by millenniums and whether or not I believe this is valid. And in the article by Peter Barnhart published in the Daily Beast, it's called The Rise of the New Left. He uses, what's the guy's name? Oh, yeah, 20th century Carl Moynihan's argument for political generations. For Moynihan, generations are born from a historical disruption, as he argued and later scholars have confirmed. People are disproportionately influenced by the events that occur between their late teens and their mid-20s. During that period, between the time they leave their parents' home and the time they create a stable home of their own, individuals are most prone to change cities, religions, political parties, brands of toothpaste. After that, lifestyles and attitudes calcify. For Moynihan, what define a generation is a particular slice of history people experience during those plastic years. A generation has no set length, and new one can emerge every year, every 30, every 100 years. What mattered was whether the events people experienced, while at their most malleable, was sufficiently different from those experienced by people of older or younger generations than themselves. Okay, that's what we're going to be discussing today. I've ran through this several different times, and let's just plow through it. I can concede that there's a lot of validity to his argument that the millenniums had undergone a massive disruption politically, socially, and economic in their time. They came of age at the rise and the peak of Reaganism and Thatcherism. Bill Clinton was the last great hero of Reagan. I'm sorry, he was. He was the embodiment of neoliberalism, the Washington consensus of a very activist foreign policy and very militant stance in the world, and coupled with a very laissez-faire, do what you will concern as far as economic issues, and he had enough of a little warm fuzziness for the social concerns that kept the upper middle class happy and content. They wanted great returns on their investment, but they didn't want to think people have to deal with the dark side of Reaganism, who Reagan built his coalition on, unfortunately, a bigoted Southern base. And that's the dirty secret about it. So Clinton was the embodiment of neoliberalism, what its potentiality could be. And that was the high watermark for it. And so they did come of age of that. And unfortunately, that from a whole bunch of things led from our over-militaristic and over-interventionist foreign policy and our deregulatory emphasis as far as our economy was concerned, led to the 2000s. So the millenniums came to an age where the globe was extremely insecure. 9/11 happened, and the economy experienced a horrific recession at the beginning of the 2000s, which was pulled out of it by ginning up a bubble in the housing. And the bubble and the credit bubble finally collapsed. The housing and the credit bubble finally collapsed around 2006, 2007, and it created a horrific economic collapse. So the millenniums went into the world as the world was slowly but surely coming apart. And I do agree that they has had a drastic impact on the millenniums. Now, do I believe that this is going to carry forth into a more social, liberal, leftist thing? I don't know. I truthfully do not think so. I don't think de Blasio and that's what the article mainly concerns itself. The election of de Blasio in New York is sort of like a harbinger, like Ed Koch was in the '78 election, as a turn into overall society, a move away from the Reagan, Thatcher, Clinton politics of neoliberalism into more of an activist, interventionist, as far as socially and economically interventionist government, and a more mind your own business foreign policy as outside the country. I don't think that's where it is. I don't think there's a nice little templates are nice. I'm a person that I have a certain template that I use and force upon everything as a Marxist, but I recognize the limitation of it. This is a nice little template that Peter Bernhardt, let me get the guy's name so I don't butcher it. Barnard, yeah, Peter Barnard has a nice little template. I think it's very interesting to use, and you can use this template and find all kinds of neat little things inside of history. Like you can see that Nixon was the last New Dealer. If you look at the template, and that gave rise to the new consensus, the new neoliberalism, the rise, especially with Jimmy Carter and going into Ronald Reagan, going into Bill Clinton, a more neoliberal model as opposed to the New Deal model of things. But it doesn't hold through because things like John F. Kennedy stands out like sore thumbs when you start using it, and you recognize that John F. Kennedy has more in common with the Thatcher-Reagan model than he does as a New Dealer. It just does. Eisenhower's to the left of Kennedy on many things, on most things. And then it just doesn't follow through all the way through. But it is a good model to use. And he uses it as a springboard to saying that, the millenniums are going to be more social. Millenniums are fundamentally more socially liberal. There's no question about that. It is absolutely amazing how gay rights have done a 180 in this country. Karl Rove was quite successful in 2004 in order to get a lot of state ballot initiatives on the ballot as far as against state gay rights, and that helped take an extremely weakened George Bush Jr. Into his second term. Those ballot initiatives or anti-gay rights helped pit that man back into the White House. They tried the same tactic in 2008, and it had no traction. None. Zero. So socially, the millenniums and the society as a whole has drastically altered itself. I just don't think economically we are there yet. I think militarily and foreign policy, America's always been an isolationist country. It has to be taken into wars by hook and crook. It's always been a very isolationist country, and that is because of the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. We don't like interfering outside our country, and the only reason we do interfere outside of our country is because very well-connected business and economic interests have a lot to gain by it, and they manipulate public opinion. I'm sorry to be conspiratorial about it, but that's what happens. Most Americans are very isolationist, and but our world leaders are not, because they need markets and resources. And the only way to get markets and resources is to go take them from other folks. And that's why America has a very interventionist foreign policy. So that we might be toning back, but I don't think economically we are. I had an interesting conversation with one of my little brothers a couple of days back, in sort of reference to this article, and he was talking about his generation, which is the one right slightly behind mine and slightly above the millenniums. He's in his 30s, I'm in my 40s, there's about 10 years separating us. And he's worrying about his generation is fixing to get lapped by the millenniums, overtaken by the millenniums. They hadn't had their time to get their feet into a career and into the market or anything like that. And I don't think the millenniums are going to have a chance to get their feet into the market or a career either. But he's worried about being overtaken by the millenniums. They're just going to overwhelm his generation. And his generation they don't want to radically change the society, in my opinion. and neither does the millenniums. I think they've been battered so bad currently. It's not that they want to overthrow the tables inside the temple. They don't want to be screaming, you turn my father's house into a den of thieves. They're not there yet. Some of them are, but most of them, sadly, I think, just won't be part of the game. And if the system can figure out a way of giving, not all of them, but just enough of them, entry into the sacred kingdom of upwardly mobile middle class, that it can forestall a radical redistribution and reorganization of the capitalist system. But I don't know if it's willing to do that. If you listen to most of the leaders that are forward, that are more proponents of the status quo, or more ardent supporters of capitalism, they are more militant now. They have became extremely militant because they feel under pressure. And I don't know if there is going to be a New Deal type individual come out there to save capitalism for itself. I hope it doesn't come. But I don't think millenniums want to drastically change the system. I don't think they want to burn the temple down and reorganize it yet. I don't think they're there. I just think, unfortunately, like a large portion of society, most people just want a stable job and a BJ once in a while. That's what they want. They want to be left alone. They want to be able to watch their television, and occasionally have a good romp in the hay, and that's pretty much it. Turn on their sitcoms and get through life. But sadly, I don't think the economy is going to allow for that in the future. And I don't know if they're going to build a more militant or organized left out of this. And I don't see the rise of a new left. And I'm pretty much going to end it right there. I'll hopefully come back and talk about what I think happened to the left to begin with, because that was chewing up so much of the time in this video. I think I should do a video about that and my opinions of the rise of the new left and what that was about. But I don't think millenniums, I just don't see them wanting to change the system yet. I do think there is a movement afoot by a strong minority throughout the world, and it's very vocal, and it is impressive for me and heartening for me to see a lot of more activism amongst the young. But I think the majority, especially in American society, they just won't be part of the game. They just want to be part of the game, and they want their $30,000 to $40,000 job and a BJ once in a blue moon. That's all they want right now. And if the society can figure out a way to give that to them, they can stop what might be an avalanche and a collapse of the capitalist system. All right, that's my thought. Sorry I rambled for a thing, but I'm curious what other people think. Is there does people believe there is a growing sense that millenniums are going to become more radicalized? Are they going to lurch more towards the left? I'm curious what other people have to think. And as always, thanks for the like, subscribe, favorite, whatever you do on this YouTube thing. Thanks for your time.